I have been wanting to design a storage system for the rear of my Jeep for the longest time, and today I'm going to show you just how easy it was to build this platform. I'm going to talk a little bit about this new drawer fridge that I'm going to be using, and then I'm going to share with you the whole plan that we've got for the rear here. Stay tuned. Welcome to Trail Recon. I'm Brad, and today I'm really excited to share with you the beginning phases of the new storage system that I'm going to be building here in the rear of my Jeep. For the longest time, I've had what I would consider to be organized chaos here in the back of the Jeep. When we're out on long trips, multi-day trips camping, and just having a good old time out there, you know, I've got a fridge back here, I've got some hard boxes, I've got some bags, trying to stay organized, but it's just not as organized as I would like it. And so I've really been kind of contemplating on what I wanted to do here in the rear. And what I've done is I've employed my good buddy Marco from Overland X, and he has come up with some great ideas. He's got some tips and tricks to help me develop a really nice storage system, and we'll be doing that here in the coming days. But I know there are many of you out there that are interested in just building a platform for the rear of your Jeep, you know, to build a slider so you can put a fridge on there. And so I built this one here in the last couple days, and I'm going to show you here how I do it. But full disclosure, I'm not some kind of woodworking guru, but I'm really happy with how this turned out, and it was super easy to do with just some basic tools. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and then I'll talk a little bit about this drawer fridge, and then I'll share with you what the plan is here in the coming days.
The first thing I did before getting started was just take some general measurements for the template I'll be making. And a couple things to take into consideration is how deep you want it with the door closed, and also account for the rear seat latches. You want to make sure you got clearance for both of those. I also took some measurements for the 4 tie-down bolts the platform will be secured to. But I'll show you here soon the best way to get your bolt holes to line up perfectly. I used some cardboard to begin creating the template, and using cardboard allowed me to cut and trim and add more cardboard along the way. It's an easy way to do it without wasting any wood. I did find using the rear Jeep mat helps to trace out some of those contour lines in the back, and if you flip it around, it actually flows more of those angles towards the rear. Now I have one of these tools and I honestly don't know what it's called, but these can be very helpful if you're trying to trace a curve. And then it's just the process of cutting and fitting. I did add a little extra cardboard just to make sure the template, you know, fit nice and tight, but I probably took that template in and out of the back of my Jeep a dozen times before I was completely happy with the fitment. With the template finally looking the way I wanted it to, I traced the design onto a 1/2-inch piece of plywood. Now, the thickness of plywood you use is really up to you, but remember, the thicker the plywood, the heavier it gets. Just for an example, a 3/4-inch piece of plywood, a full sheet, weighs 70 pounds, whereas a 1/2-inch sheet of plywood only weighs 50 pounds. Because this will be supported by the Jeep floor, I didn't see a need to go thicker. Plus, I just had a bunch of 1/2-inch plywood lying around in the shed. With everything traced out, it was time to get to cutting. And come on guys, who doesn't love using power tools and that fresh smell of cut wood? Man, I just love it. I really took my time here because the last thing I wanted to do was cut too shallow or get an angle wrong and end up wasting wood. Now my first test fit was a little snug, but you know what? I was okay with that. I broke out the sander and sanded down all the areas that were a tight fit and just gave the wood an overall smoothing out. Now I don't own a router, but if I did, rounding off the edges would give it a nice clean look, but I was able to do that just a little bit with the sander. Okay, now let me share with you the process I went through of trying to line up those 4 bolt holes that we got to drill holes in the wood for. So initially I took the template and kind of outlined some things. I tried putting it in the back of the Jeep and poking the bolts up through it. And at the end of the day, what I realized was all I needed to do was screw those bolts down, put the plywood on top, and just give it a little tap with a rubber mallet. And what that allowed was those bolts to make just enough indentation for me to drill in. This worked out perfectly. And I probably should point out here that I'm using a 2¼ inch M6 bolt that you can find at your local hardware store. There's plenty of them out there. Now I drilled out the holes using a standard drill bit, and then I took a 1-inch drill bit and just drilled off the top of the wood here so I could flush mount the 1-inch washers that I'll be using. There might be a better way to do this if I had a router, but this way worked well for me. Now with those holes drilled, it was time to lay it in place and see how well it lined up. And thankfully, to my surprise, it was perfect. I'm extremely happy with how this project turned out. It's very easy to do.
So I told you guys that was super easy to do. You know, some basic hand tools, a little bit of measuring and making sure you take your time. And this is an easy project you can do yourself in your garage in just a couple hours, no problem. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think it fits really well. It bolted up perfectly. Now I do need to put some kind of coating on here, and I'm thinking I'm gonna probably get like a roll-on bed liner type of stuff to do. I could take it to a Linux shop, but they'll charge you like $100 to do something like that, and I really just kind of want to do it myself. So I will be putting a coating on here, but I want to wait until we get everything all mocked up before I do that. Now, this fridge here, this is a Dometic 30-liter fridge, and I think this is going to be the perfect solution for what I want to do here. Let me pull this out of the Jeep, throw it on the table, and let's take a closer look. So this is the Dometic 30 drawer fridge, and it's not 30 liters, it's technically 29 liters. They just call it the Dometic 30. And full disclosure here, I have no affiliation with Dometic. They're not a sponsor. It would be great to have them as a sponsor, but they are not. I purchased this on Amazon for full price, and I'll leave a link down below and have it on my Amazon store if you want to go check it out. But I think this is going to be perfect for my needs. You know, I've been using a Dometic 40-liter fridge in the back of my Jeep for a while, and so downsizing to this 30 means I'm going to have a little bit of reduced storage capacity for the food, but that's not going to be a big deal. You know, I'm not Marco where I'm cooking massive meals. He would need 2 of these if he was putting one of these in his fridge. But let's just talk a little bit about it. So the drawer face here, it's a really nice, sleek design, but it's got a plastic handle on it, which is sturdy. When you open it up, I will say the hinges are a little flimsy. It kind of wobbles there a little bit. That bothers me a little bit. Hopefully that will hold up. Plus the plastic inside is, I don't know, I would like it to be a little bit thicker. But what you don't see here is a bunch of digital gauges and buttons and stuff. There's just a simple knob on there like you would have on a basic fridge. It's a very simple design. The latches on it are good, and I think it's going to hold up really well. On the sides here, there's several different mounting points, and it comes with some hardware. So mounting this into the Jeep for the system we're going to be using should be no issues. On the rear back here, though, you have an exposed compressor, and so we just need to take that into consideration when we're building the storage system, because we want to make sure that this is fully enclosed and doesn't allow any parts or gear to fall on it, but it can still breathe back there. So that's all things that we've got to take consideration of when we're building this. Now, this is a 12 or 24 volt fridge. It weighs about 45 pounds, and I think this is going to be perfect for what we're going to be using it for. I'm excited to get this in. Long-term testing, well, we'll see. But initially, I think it's going to be just right. Now for the rear storage system, and I feel like I might have hyped this up a little too much. I'm not building a Taj Mahal back here. We're actually just going to do a very basic storage setup where it's going to have the fridge with 3 additional drawers. So there'll be 2 drawers on the side and then 1 on the top, and it's going to be about as tall as the rear seat because I did not want it to be blocking my visibility out the rear window. But we are going to have some track systems up there on top so we can tie down some things if we need to. But we're going to be using a really good material. We're using some aluminum, some composite, and the face of it, we're thinking about doing bamboo to match the table. I think that will be a really cool look. So while it's going to be simple in design, it's going to be very well built. You know, I'm going to make sure we got some good hinges, some good door handles, and it needed to be sturdy because we're out banging around on the trail. Now, one con to think about, or there's a few cons to think about when you're doing a storage system like this, is I'm not going to be able to access the storage under here that we normally would. And 2, I'm not going to be able to just take this in and out like I want to anymore. It's pretty much going to be in here full time. I mean, I can unbolt it and remove it, but that's not something that I'm going to do often. Hopefully this is actually going to weigh a little bit less. Probably not, but you know, my fridge is heavy and all the boxes are heavy. So while the weight may be similar or a little bit more, the organization is going to be so much better. So I'm excited. I can't wait to get over to Marco's house tomorrow and get started, and definitely going to show you how we build that. So definitely stay tuned for that. Look, if you're visiting Trail Recon for the first time, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you as a member of the Trail Recon team. Please remember to always travel the trails responsibly. Thanks for watching.